Mojang has just released the new 1.21 update called Tricky Trials, which includes many new blocks, mobs and even a new structure. I will show you everything that is new in this update, so let's get started. First is the new structure that is called the Trial Chamber. It can be found underground anywhere in the overworld, but you don't need to go digging to find it. All you need to find the Trial Chamber is to visit the cartographer villager, who needs to be on a journeyman level. And from there you can buy a Trial Chamber map. This costs you 12 emeralds and a compass. The Trial Chamber itself is an awesome looking structure. It has many big hallways, corridors and chambers. In these corridors you can also find chests, barrels and decorated pots, which all contain some loot. And there are some trial spawners that make looting the corridors just a bit harder. But every corridor eventually leads you into the combat chamber that has even more spawners. These trial spawners here spawn all kinds of different mobs, and you can identify the spawner by looking at the blocks around it. For example, mossy cobblestone means it spawns zombies, stone block means it spawns cave spiders, and so on. This is a good way to identify how dangerous it actually is. 1.21 also introduces us two new mobs, the Breeze and Bogged. To the skeletons, but they shoot poisonous arrows that deal 3 points of damage, which is a bit weaker than the regular skeleton, who deal 4 to 5 points of damage. Bogged has 16 points of health and skeleton has 20 points of health, so it's also a bit easier to kill. When you kill the Bogged, it will always drop arrows and bones, but sometimes also poisonous arrows. You can also see they have couple mushrooms growing on their head. If you want those, then take some shears and give them a haircut. And now you got some mushrooms. The other new mob, Breeze, is much more interesting. Breeze is a new boss mob who can only be found in the trial chambers, and you can identify his spawner with the chiseled tuff being around it. The Breeze has 30 points of health and deals only 1.5 points of damage, which is less than 1 heart, so it isn't the strongest boss mob. When you kill the Breeze, it will drop 1 to 2 Breeze rods, but killing him isn't as simple as you think, since he dodges all the arrows and tridents, so you need to go up close and attack him from there. He also tries to push you away when attacking him. And once the fight has started, there will not only be a Breeze, but also waves of other mobs. Those spawn from the spawners in each room, and the amount of waves you get depends on the number of players that are nearby. This is designed so you and your friends can have a lot of fun while fighting here. Here in the combat room, you may also find some help with the dispensers on the wall. Those dispense items like arrows, snowballs, fire charges, potions, water buckets and so on. But sometimes those dispensers can actually work against you, because the Breeze can also click buttons with his wind charge attack. Once all the mobs are defeated, the spawners in this chamber will start dispensing you different items, and then they will go for a 30-minute cooldown. The amount of items you get also depends on the amount of players that are nearby, so playing with friends gets you a lot more loot. And right now it's the perfect time to start a brand new 1.21 world, and do it by hosting a server on Wise Hosting, the best Minecraft server hosting site built by us. Just go to wisehosting.com and pick 50% chance of getting a trial key. This can be used on the new item called Vault. Vaults are located all around the trial chambers, and when right clicking on them with the trial key, it will drop you all kinds of different items. These items are chosen from the 3 different loot tables that all look like this. They are some pretty good items. But I wanna go back to activating the trial spawners, because there is a way to start an even harder fight that gets you even better loot. For that you need to have the bad omen effect, and then activate the trial spawner, which then turns into an ominous trial spawner. Now the fight is a bit harder, but as I said, the reward is better. So when you kill all the mobs, you will get the ominous trial key. This key can be used on ominous vaults, and these vaults are located in harder to find places. They can be up in the air, just like this one, but usually they have red candles around them. And the loot that you can get from the ominous vaults is significantly better. Just have a look at this list.
Block of Diamond,
But
mamă,
there are
șansă
many
de
new items
0,8.
that you can get from the regular or ominous vaults. Let's start with the craziest item, which is the heavy core. This can only be found in the ominous vaults, and you have a 7.5% chance of getting that. The heavy core itself isn't doing much, but when adding a breeze rod onto the crafting recipe, you can get the mace. Mace is an incredible close combat weapon that deals more damage the higher you fall from before the hit, and with a successful hit you can completely avoid any fall damage yourself. It's definitely a unique weapon that's actually hard to use, because how often do you find yourself falling down and hitting someone? But it is possible to make the mace even more powerful by enchanting it. We got 3 new and special enchantments for the mace. One being density, that increases the damage dealt by mace. Then we got breach, which reduces the effectiveness of the target's armor by 15%. And finally the wind burst enchantment, that launches you back into the air after you had a successful smash attack with the mace. You probably wonder, is it possible to one hit kill the warden with this? And yes it is. With a non-enchanted mace, it would take you 321 blocks high fall, or 95 blocks with a fully enchanted mace. It's a pretty long fall, but it is technically possible. Then we have 2 new armor trim templates.
Tare, deci mi se pare tare.
Flow armor trim that look like this. Both can be found in the trial chambers, with bolt armor being in the standard vaults and the flow armor trim being in the ominous vaults. I personally really do like how this look. 1.21 also introduces 3 new music discs that can be found again in the trial chambers. The precipice disc that can be found from vaults. The crater, which can be found from ominous vaults. And finally, crater music box that you can find from the corridor bots. I think they go pretty hard this time. So let me play a quick sample from 2 of them.
Folosește cineva music discurile în Minecraft? Bă, ăsta l-aș pune.
The new items in 1.21 won't stop. We got 3 new pottery shards, flow, guster and scrape. They are all naturally generated in the trial chambers. Then we got 2 new banner patterns that look like this. One being the guster pattern found in regular vaults, and the flow pattern which can be found from ominous vaults. What's really cool about this update is that Mojang is adding new variants to many old items. And they are even giving us 4 new potions. Infestation, which causes silverfish to spawn next to the entity that gets hurt. Then oozing, that causes 2 slimes to spawn after an entity's death. Weaving, this causes cobwebs to spawn after an entity's death. And finally wind charge, which causes an entity to release a burst of wind upon their death. All of these new potions are made like this, and I can't remember the last time they added new potions, so that is really cool about
Și-au adăugat cele mai utile poțiuni.
1.21. But we also got an item called the ominous bottle, which gives you the bad omen effect after drinking it. You can't craft
Asta e destul de interesantă să zici.
it or brew it, so this is exactly like the XP bottles. The new ominous bottle can be dropped by raid captains, or find them as loot from regular vaults and ominous vaults. These bottles have different levels from 1 to 5, exactly like the bad omen effect has. And I find the ominous bottle to be really helpful, especially when I think about turning the trial spawners into an ominous spawner, since you need the bad omen effect for that to happen. The last time Minecraft added new paintings was in version 1.4.2, where they added the wither, and now 1.21 is the new version where we finally get some more, and not just 1 or 2, we get 20 new paintings.
În sfârșit!
New paintings shown.
Mamă, ești nebun? Nu m-aș fi gândit niciodată că vor băga tablouri noi. Mi se pare interesant. Totuși, cred că era foarte tare momentul când puneai tablou să te lase pe tine să selectezi ce tablou. Pentru că așa trebuie să-l spargi, să-l pui, să-l spargi, să-l...
And 5 of the paintings are made by Sarah, and the other 15 are all made by Christopher. The boats are now leashable. This may seem like a small thing, but when you want to transport many items by sea, it becomes very useful. Another thing that got an update are the portals. Now you can ride a minecart through it, or basically any entity.
James!
For example, you can go with a villager in your boat, or go through with an horse, or even better, throw an ender pearl, and you are instantly teleported on the other side. You gotta admit that this feature is pretty cool. Then you might have noticed from the trial chambers that we have many new blocks, and that's true. Copper got a huge upgrade, and now we have chiseled copper, copper doors, copper grates, copper trapdoors,
În
and
sfârșit faci
the
ceva cu
most interesting
cupru.
one for me is the copper bulb.
Și așa, cupru mi se pare cel mai inutil.
Different oxidation states have different light strength, so when adding a button on the block and clicking it once, it stays lit up, and clicking the button again, it goes off. So it's an easy way to make a decoration lamp. 1.21 also made the tough blocks more usable, since now you can craft all kinds of different tough block variants that look like this. I'm really glad that Mojang made this boring block much more usable. Then another new item is the wind charge, which can be crafted from breeze rods. This can be used to throw a wind charge yourself, or put them into dispensers and throw them from there. You can use it to bounce away mobs, click buttons, or bounce yourself up into the air.
Asta e utilă.
To do some pretty cool parkour.
E utilă la Elytra, nu? Că ți-ai zborul.
Which is for auto crafting items. The crafter itself can be crafted like this. When opening the crafter, it looks exactly like the crafting table, but here you can choose what slots you want to block. So, for example, if you want to auto craft chests, you can block off the middle one. And now when we input planks through this hopper, it will fill up only these slots. And to get it crafting, just give it a redstone signal, like placing down a lever and flicking it. The crafter opens its mouth and spits out
Bro, ce fac ăștia Satisfactory în Minecraft?
Chests can be crafted faster manually, but I do see a good use for the crafters in farms that are producing a lot of items. You can compact items by crafting them into blocks. Like in gold farms you can make gold blocks, iron farms for iron blocks, and so on. I like the new 1.21 update even more than 1.20. And now it is your time to check out all the updates in 1.21, and do that by hosting a brand new server on Wise Hosting. We got 1.
Bă, vezi că e tare. Adică, e interesant.